What's up? My name is Lamb. This is Lamb Nation. Back at it again with another great video. In today's video, I will be talking about why the government tries to maintain a 2% inflation rate, or the Federal Reserve, but the government. So normally when people hear inflation, they automatically think of it being bad, because it is bad, because your dollars have less buying power. But a certain level of inflation is needed, and the reason why is because a certain level of inflation initiates growth or continues growth. So right now the Fed has a target inflation rate of, I believe, 2%, and the way I understand it is for about the past 5 years the inflation rate has actually been under 2%. So to balance it out, to average over 10 years, so for the next 5 years they actually want to have inflation set above 2%, so it can average out to 2%. So that's the simple answer. You need a certain amount of inflation because it continues growth within your economy and continues innovation and building and whatever else. So it incentivizes people to work, so to say. So that is why we have 2% inflation. I'm going to try to explain it a little bit more. So this is just my thoughts, opinions, me using critical thinking skills. I'm a pretty smart guy, so I kind of just figured this out. I don't have any economics masters or PhD or nothing like that, but just me using my brain and thinking, and just using logic. I'm gonna try to explain what this 2% is and why and what it means. So basically, you don't want to have too high inflation. You don't want to have too low inflation. I think most people will understand what it is when you have too high inflation. So, and another thing to remember is the US dollar is a fiat currency. All fiat currencies in the history of time have failed, and eventually the US dollar will fail too. And a fiat currency basically means that the money has no intrinsic value, and if you don't have intrinsic value, it has no other use except for the fact that we say it has use and the government says it has use, but it doesn't have any real value or use. So this economy we live in is all fake. Just like, remember that. When you explain this stuff and it doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't make sense, because it's all made up, because we make it up, and it just makes sense because we think it makes sense, but it really doesn't. So, inflation rate at 2%. Let's say they print too much money and then there's too much money in circulation, then the price of things go up. You have a supply and demand type of situation. The demand for goods, the demand stays the same, but then the supply of money increases. So if the price of goods stay the same, but the money supply increases, then people are going to do more buying. Then in turn, people have more money, and then in turn, people are going to do more buying. Then prices go up, and then eventually, it kind of just evens, it balances and evens itself out. Or if you have a situation of hyperinflation, then you see people carrying around like wheelbarrows of dollar bills or whatever, and it costs like $1,000 to buy a loaf of bread, and that is because the government has somehow pumped too much cash into their system. So the inflation rate is whatever, 100%. So 100% a day. So a loaf of bread is doubling. So it was $2, then it's $4, then it's $8, or 100% a week, or whatever. So it's just too much money. It's too much money to the point it's invaluable. You need more of it to actually make it have value, right? So as far as it being like a fiat currency, let's say gold. Let's take gold for example. If money was backed by gold, gold, somebody had to work for that gold. So what money is meant to be? Money is meant to be a physical representation of your work. So let's say like back in the old days before this paper currency, and let's say even you found a piece of gold just walking on a hike, You found a big nugget of gold. Even though you didn't work for the gold nugget, somebody worked somewhere to dig it up and get it. If that makes sense. So it's a physical representation of work. So it took some kind of work to get the gold nugget. If it rained gold and gold rained from the sky, it would be easily accessible and nobody would really want it. It wouldn't be valuable. The scarcity is what makes it valuable. So when we talk about the U.S. money supply, let's say, how do I want to put it? When we talk about the U.S. money supply, it has to be enough money in circulation. So this is the money in circulation. It has to be enough money in circulation where it's enough for it to go around for all people. It has to be enough money in supply for it to go around for all people. If it's too much money going around, then, like I said, it becomes invaluable. Nobody wants it. Prices go up. Hyperinflation. It's like your currency doesn't really mean anything. When everybody has access to something, it's not special. The scarcity is what makes it special, right? So, in a system like this, with too much money supply and too much inflation, nobody wants the US dollar. Nobody wants the gold coins that fall from the sky. Eventually, people will realize that it's not as valuable as you think. If they just start pouring money, and that's what the Fed's doing. They just start printing more and more money. While you have more money, but you buy less with it. You can buy less with it. So what you have to do is decrease the money supply. So you got to take some of this money out. So now, take some of this money out, and now this is the money we have. So basically, this isn't enough money. So you would need to print more money. The reason this is not enough money because there's not enough money to go around. And while it is scarcity, so it makes it valuable, it's too inaccessible. So what happens is these people, they think they don't even have a chance of getting what's over here. They don't have a chance of getting what's over here. So why would they even work for it? Why would they continue to work and progress and growth and build houses and food and work or whatever industry, fast food, servers, waitresses, whatever, shipbuilding, whatever you do, inspections. Why would you try to acquire this wealth or obtain this money when you know it's no chance that you'll get it? It's impossible. It's impossible for you to get it. So what these people would do, where when you had a system like this, everybody was kind of working and the money was touching the hands of everybody. Everybody was getting a portion of this money. So what you see happen is these people, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people doing work. These people, they say, hey, we're not going to be able to obtain this kind of money anyway. Or, they might have some money for basic goods, but they don't have enough money for luxury items, or maybe they don't have enough money for basic goods, whatever. It's just not enough money for them. So they know it's this much money. So what they end up doing is they exit the system and maybe they create their own system, but most likely they won't. What they'll do is they'll exit this system and they become bums and they get addicted to drugs, whatever. They go rob and steal people. They go rob and steal and loot and riot and crime increases because they are no longer in the system. So how this more so relates to inflation is the government wants to control that. The Federal Reserve wants to control that. They want to keep it at 10%, or 2%, not 10% or 20% or 100%, because then there's too much inflation. The price of goods goes up too much. The money becomes less valuable, and you have less buying power with your money. So. And then you don't want to have no inflation because, somebody was like, well, inflation is bad. Why would you want 2% inflation? You don't want no inflation because let's say you have no inflation. Like, basically, this is how I think money works. So you have rich you have rich CEOs. So anytime a, like, we're talking about ultra rich CEOs. So you have ultra rich CEOs, and then you say, let's say you have your higher level income, and then you have your middle, and then you have your lower, per se, and some high can be up here or whatever, but whatever, for the sake of this example, high and middle and lower, and then this is the cutoff. Anytime somebody from down here spends money, the money, most of the time, 90%, making that number up, but 90% of the time, when these people spend money, it goes to the rich CEOs. When you shop at large corporations like Amazon, Walmart, whatever other place you shop, IKEA. So anytime you spend money, these rich CEOs make money. So how does this money, this little circle, this is what we're doing. We're applying it to real life. So how does this money go back down to these people? I guess this could probably be synonymous to the trickle down effect. I'll have to do some more research to it. Eventually, they are going to pay these people wages. So wages, and then this is spending. But notice I put about 5 or 6 arrows for all the money going up to these rich corporate CEOs, but then I only put a little one arrow down to the wages. So the money is circulating, but you're creating this kind of funnel where, let's say, like this. All of this money, just money shooting to this rich corporate CEOs, boom, 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 boom. But then when it comes back down, it's coming down like this. The funnel is like kind of reversed. So they have all this money, but they're not sharing all this money. It's just coming out in little droplets. So they give you just enough to be satisfied and just enough to keep you poor, so you won't riot and you won't steal and whatever. That's the balance. That's the balance that they try to keep, right? So what happens when rich people steal money or spend money? When rich people spend money at other big businesses. So when rich people spend money, rich CEOs, and then rich people, rich regular people, they spend money for that house. When they spend money, guess where they go? They go to Walmart and IKEA and Target and whatever other stores too. So they kind of just exchange money back and forth. So the amount of money going up and then the amount of money coming down is at an imbalance. So what will eventually happen is, clean this board up. So I'm getting all into inflation and the money supply, why they increasing and decreasing. And this is just me using common sense logic. What happened is all of these people, Jeff Bezos, they hoard the wealth. So they hoard wealth. So they hoard the wealth because all these people are consuming and spending and they aren't increasing wages. So they hoard the wealth. So you know what these people do? These lower and maybe like lower middle class people, they say it's not enough money for us. It's not enough money. See, all this money is just swirling around up here through the rich CEOs, and they're balling, enjoying life, and going out to the Bahamas and cruises and buying private jets, and they're just living this luxurious life. And these people are just getting peanuts, and they're just the money's circling around so slow because they don't really spend money amongst themselves. Most time you spend money, you go to big businesses, so the money is moving so slow. People say people need fast money, quick money. They need to eat, they need to feed their children, they need spa days, vacations, mental health breaks, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So what they do is they end up exiting this system. They say this system is whack, and you know what they do? They end up rioting and looting and stealing and becoming criminals, and they kill for money and they deal drugs. That's not good. So I threw my eraser. So what the Federal Reserve will end up doing is giving more money supply to these regular people. So how do they put more money into the system? So as far as I know, they put money into the system is they loan out money to banks. And when banks have more money, they can give out more loans to regular people, and then the banks will in turn make money. But that's different. But the way they get this money out to regular people is through the banks, and then the banks loan people money. And now these people are happy because it's a more increased money supply. So now you got, now you got a car loan, and then you got a mortgage loan, and you got personal loans, so you can go to Cuba and all this other stuff. And then the people who can't obtain loans, that's maybe for the higher and middle people that have um, good credit. So they get these loans, and then eventually these higher and middle people who have businesses or shop at small businesses or get their haircuts or tips or whatever, and then that's how this money trickles down to the low income community. But it's only going to trickle down so much because there's only so much shopping that you're so much economic value that the lower class provides. So the Fed has to put money into the economic system and print more money. That's why the money supply increases every year, because you got to give people enough to entice them. You know what I'm saying? They we're not just gonna work for scraps. We're not gonna do that. We gotta be getting some piece of the pie. We gotta get some of this money. But if it won't come from the CEOs paying us higher wages, they're not just going to give up their money. You have to print more money. You got to put it in the system, and that in turn is where you get this inflation. You get 2%. Now check this out. Let's say for whatever reason that when these people, they're going on private jets and cruises in the Bahamas, that money is either leaving the country or it's going to other CEOs. It's not going to these higher these middle class, lower class, regular people. It's not going to them. It's going to other, it's going elsewhere. So that's where you get that 2% at. And then let's say for whatever reason the CEOs decided to spend more in this lower bracket. Let's say this money supply started to move this way. So now you still have all of this money, the new money that the Fed printed, and this old money is becoming unlocked. They're not saving as much. They don't have these assets accounts or whatever, these offshore accounts or whatever. They started to save their money, and for whatever reason, they started to give it to the poor, middle, and upper class. When you do this, now you've always had this money, but this money wasn't being circulated. So now you have more money in circulation. So now you have all this money in circulation, right? And what this circulation does is increase the money supply. Like I said, then when these companies realize, hey, it's more people spending, it's a higher demand. You got the same, like we said, we got the same supply. We got higher demand, same supply. What these CEOs can do is they can then jack up the prices, right? And then you have the same situation as far as I was saying, as far as that's hyperinflation, price of bread doubling, and then nobody wants the money or whatever because it's just it's too much of it. It's not rare enough for it to be worth anybody's time. Anybody can get it. It's not valuable. Like I said, it's not backed by gold. It's not backed by anything. So it's not valuable enough for people to want it, right? And we've never got to that point. But it's some other countries, like I think Venezuela went through that, or Brazil. One of them. They went through that recently, where basically the money became worthless, right? So how the Fed takes money out is through like burning. Like the Fed burns so much cash, like they can kind of estimate how much cash is in circulation, and if it's not enough, they print money. If it's too much, then they burn it, right? So they just burn all of this cash. And people are like, oh my God, you burn cash. It's not valuable. It's just paper. You can't do nothing with it. It becomes worthless if you have too much of it. You need to burn some of it. So they burn the cash. And with so many people doing digital and stuff like that, another way they do is, what I'm hearing is, these loans that the banks give out, they start to buy back the loans, and they can kind of control it. So they can control it so that way the government isn't giving out as, or the banks aren't giving out as many loans, or they can jack up interest rates. And then when you jack up interest rates for the banks, then you have to jack up interest rates for the people. And when you jack up interest rates for the people, people aren't getting as many loans. And if you aren't getting as many loans, then it's not as much money circulating in the economy. And they do this over time. You know, we're talking about years, years and years of time or whatever. Right? So that's why you need 2% inflation, because you got to keep people working. You gotta feed them scraps. That's what you're doing. You just gotta nibble and you gotta egg them on. Because let's say you're playing a game of like Duck Duck Goose, right? And then you're playing. That's what that was. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and people playing a game of Duck Duck Goose. Playing a game of Duck Duck Goose or Hot Potato or whatever game you want to play, and then you're all passing the ball around, right? All passing the ball around, and it's fun and everybody's happy. Same thing with the money, whatever. Fun and everybody's happy. But then let's say this gets wider, and now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 10 people, and then you're all passing the ball around. But you don't get as much time with the ball anymore, so it's not as fun, right? And then it gets this big, and now you got 1, and then you got 50, and then you got 100, and then you got 200 people, and then you're all playing with this ball, and it takes too long to kind of get around, you know what I'm saying? So what you might want to do is, while you got this ball going this way, you might want to have another ball going this way, and then another ball going that way, and then another ball going this way, because then more people can enjoy the game, you know, because that's all it is. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. It's just all a big game. So you got to put more balls in. You know, you got to put more money into the system, right? So that is the 2% inflation rate. But I hope that cleared some stuff up. So I know that was kind of all over the place. If you have questions, comment below, and I'll do a part 2. And I will try to be more concise, or whatever area was confusing. I hope this helps some people and clear some things up. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I appreciate it. Thank you.